Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Sorry, just getting a handle on how many participants we have right now. Great, it looks like a lot of folks are joining. We're gonna give everybody 1 minute to hop on because we do have a pretty full agenda this morning. And apologies if you hear kindergarten music going on in the background. That is what's happening in my kitchen this morning. Okay. It looks like we've got a lot of folks on the call right now. And I'm glad that this is just our group of our PTA, and we can be on a Zoom together so that it can be interactive. I know we've all been doing a lot of live streams, and while the chat feature is nice to have, it's always nicer to be able to hear each other's voices and see each other's faces if video is on. So thank you all for joining this morning. If you're new to the school or to the PTA, I'm Jessica Melwani, co-president of the PTA, and I'm joined here by Karen Swibel, my co-president this year. We are so happy that you could all join this morning. It's been a uncertain time, but I hope you'll all join me in thanking Dr. Cohen, who's on the call today, all of our teachers, all of the staff at Manorhaven, Nurse Ponce, who will also be joining the call this morning, just everybody who has gone so above and beyond to get this year off to a smooth start. I think their efforts, personally, from what I've seen being around school, just have been nothing short of heroic. So a really hearty thank you to Dr. Cohen, our school administration, our staff, our teachers, for making this very strange start to a school year as successful as it has been. Of course, you know, we always need to reiterate, it's no time to let our guards down, no time to rest on laurels, but so far, I am personally so grateful. So thank you to everybody. We're gonna start off the meeting today with some PTA business. Then we're going to move into a discussion about some ideas that are bubbling, and to get a sense of this group's ideas for the school year ahead. And then we will go into our Q&A portion with Dr. Cohen and Nurse Ponce, who will also be joining us to answer any specific health-related questions that you might have. So first, I want to start by offering a very warm and hearty thank you to everybody who was so generous in donating to the Angel Fund this year and donating school supplies. It was an unprecedented effort by the PTA. In the past, the Angel Fund has always provided school supplies on kind of a one-off ad hoc basis as requested. But this year, we were able to fund school supply starter kits for every single student in need at our school. It was a tremendous effort, and one that I am really proud of and very grateful to this community for. We also have now funded our Angel Fund. It's off to a really great start. So we're well positioned this year to be able to help our students in need be successful and have the tools they need during their academic days at Manorhaven. So as you'll see going forward, PTA fundraisers, and you'll probably be seeing more of them this year, but we hope they'll be fun and have a lot of value for you and your families. Those will be focused primarily on PTA operations, funding virtual and live programming if we get to a point where we can do in-person programming, and really attending to the needs of our teachers and of all students in our schools. So that's what you'll be seeing going forward. I'm going to toss it over to Karen to talk about some upcoming events.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for hopping on. As Jessica said, there are still ways to participate in events that we are hosting either virtually or online. Our fall plants and pumpkin sale, you should have received an email. The deadline is actually today. We have a delivery option available this year, which is really exciting. So you can hop onto the link if anyone needs it. You can check out the newsletter from last week, and you should be able to get the link there. It's really exciting that we were able to bring this to life this year. Don't forget, not that I'm sure anyone will, apologies. Tuesday, everyone is back in school. So all grades, all students back in school on Tuesday. And as a celebratory way of doing this, inviting everyone to wear their Manorhaven gear for Spirit Day. If not gear, anything blue and white will do. We're really excited to have our students back in the building all together on Tuesday. You should have also received an email about a whiskey tasting, a Whiskey 101, so a small virtual event that will be curated by it's not a sommelier, I don't know what the official Scotch term is.
He's technically a master distiller and head of maturing whiskey stocks, which is a real thing.
There you go. Opportunity to, for those of you who drink Scotch or whiskey, or maybe your husbands or grandparents or whatnot, join us on October 16th for that. Bottles will be delivered to your doorstep as well in advance of that. So we're really excited about that. Picture Day, I know everybody looks forward to Picture Day. This year we've actually postponed it until mid-March. The hope is that we can utilize the vendor and be outside during that time to capture the pictures. We will still be able to create a yearbook, so not to worry for 5th grade parents. Pictures will still be available, and there hopefully will still be time for retakes if that is something that you need to do. And then finally, on the event side, I know last year we had a tremendous success with our booster-thon. Again, given that we are focused on getting our kids and keeping everybody healthy and safe in school, currently it's going to be postponed, and we are hopeful to find some sort of way to bring it to life in the spring. So that is all we've got in terms of actual events going on right now. Jess, I want to kick it over to you.
Yeah, sure. So we have some events in the works that we've been trying to get off the ground. One of them is a Manorhaven Meals program, which we hope to share more about. It's a sort of a community give back, partnering with some local businesses in town. We've got some ideas for virtual fitness fundraisers in the works, a virtual wine tasting, which you should be hearing more about. That will be in mid-November. Should be great and a lot of fun. And other fun virtual activities for the whole family, some DIY workshops, virtual workshops, and some other stuff. So keep an eye out on your Sunday newsletter. We'll also send emails and texts to remind about events like that. Karen, do you want to address some stuff about outreach this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, knowing that, being in physical close proximity of spaces is not something that the district is comfortable with. We do know, though, that every year, outreach is an important part of our community. This year, there will be no winter clothing drive or anything of the sort. We are working with the outreach committee, though, to do a district-wide gift card drive instead. So the hope is that we can provide our families in need across the community, not just within our school, but across the entire district with gift cards this year. So you'll be getting some more communications on that. If anybody has any other questions about it, please do let us know. Donations of clothing are local. There are still a bunch of organizations who I'm sure we can put you in touch with if there are a need, or if you guys have a desire to donate some winter coats or use, gently used clothing, we can certainly put you in touch with those organizations. The same thing from a Thanksgiving basket donations that will not be happening this year either. Again, all food donations will be directed to our local food pantries. We can provide and will provide that information to everyone in communication on how and safely they can drop off that food to our local food pantries. And then as Jessica said, we're working on some outreach elements into our programming. So Manorhaven meals, and being able to utilize our Angel Fund to help enhance our, sorry, my watch keeps ringing, to help utilize, the Angel Fund to help enhance our students' needs within the building. So as we did with supplies, and making sure that all of our students have exactly what they need, and we will continue to keep our ear to the ground in terms of exactly what our students need in the building and where we can be helpful. So if anybody has any questions or any thoughts on ways in which we can bring information or thoughts back on outreach within the community, please feel free to shoot us a note and let us know, and we'd be happy to bring it to the outreach committee.
Thanks, Karen. We didn't have, traditionally we have a new parents orientation in September. Our kindergarten orientation was a little different than usual back in June. So we didn't have a chance to introduce our representatives from parent organizations in town. So I'd like just to take a minute to introduce our school representatives, our Manorhaven representatives from Agate and SEPTA. And they'll tell you a little more about what their organizations do in our community of families and introduce themselves. So we'll start with Agate. Liz Sobel is our building representative. Liz, feel free to unmute yourself. If you can't, I'll unmute you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Hi, I'm Liz Sobel. I just wanted to let you guys know that myself and Amalia Quispe are the building liaisons for Agate this year. For those of you who are not familiar with Agate, it's a group of parents, teachers, other administrators who are advocating for the needs of advanced learners. I was on the call this week with the board, and there was a lot of conversation around the reinstatement of the core PEP group, as well as the virtual learning platform. And so for anyone who's interested in becoming involved, becoming a member, you can reach out to me and I can help you get involved. Also, just if there are questions or concerns that you have about whether it's core PEP, the virtual learning platform, or just even the push-in PEP that our kids are receiving this year, I'm happy to be a liaison for that and help bring your concerns to the Agate board, and they have a seat at the table with the administration. They're going to be involved in the curricular meeting next month, so please feel free to reach out to me. They are also going to be holding a monthly session for parents called Connecting Over Coffee, which will be, I think was typically done at Dolphin, but it's going to be over Zoom, and this is just an opportunity for parents to meet each other, talk about strategies and challenges that they're having. When I have the date for October, I will send that along in the PTA email. So please feel free to reach out if I can be of help. And we'll also be, talking to Dr. Cohen and Mrs. Singh. So happy to be a liaison for that.
Thank you, Liz. And now I will turn it over to our extraordinary SEPTA rep, Andrea Marino.
Hey everybody,
Yeah.
Thanks so much. So hi, so I'm Andrea Marino. I have 2 children at Manorhaven, and I have my youngest in Ms. Kaminsky's class. And so I'm more than happy to be our SEPTA representative here at Manorhaven. So for those who don't know, SEPTA stands for Special Education, PTA, and Port has a chapter in that, which is really exciting. If you are currently a member, you perhaps have received some updates from Jennifer Scotto Robinson. She also, I think, has there's a really great website I would encourage you guys to reach out to. But really what the Port SEPTA group does is we provide benefits to families in our district who face extra challenges at school, right? So we really look to do programming that closes the gap between what the district can offer and the needs of our students. And, when I first got involved with SEPTA, I have an older child, so I wasn't quite involved, but my younger one does receive services. And when you, anytime type of services, right? So it's really open for anyone who either has a child with some challenges or who doesn't, just wants to learn some more. So if your child receives any sort of, OT or PT or speech or anything like that, it's a really fantastic group. Amazing individuals just to make some contacts and ask questions. And there's a bunch of great things that the group sponsors. So there's something called Second Cup, which used to be an in-person sort of coffee meeting, but obviously now it'll go virtual. Those are like sort of informal monthly meetings, so more information will be coming about that. And also there's additional initiatives. One of them is called Port Pals, which is a parent-initiated play group that really helps to develop social skills in a play setting. So I encourage anyone who has any questions to reach out to me. And if you see anything come up for SEPTA, click on it, take a look. It's just a really great group, and our children can benefit from it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrea, and thank you, Liz. Both of you are incredible resources for the families in our community. So we do encourage anyone with questions about either organization or specific questions about your children's experience that you think would be relevant for discussion in these organizations to reach out to Andrea and Liz. Thank you, guys. Dr. Cohen, before we move on into a little bit of PTA discussion and then the Q&A, any updates on your end that you'd like to share before we get into that?
I think most of the updates will come when I address some of the frequently asked questions, but it is a good opportunity for me to thank the PTA, the executive board, and all of the parents who participated in the committees over the summer, really in helping us get to be where we are today, ready to accept our full student population, and I really do feel ready to do that now. So thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Cohen. Just wanted to open up a quick conversation about, we've talked in the past about the importance of community building events. So, one big part of the PTA's mission is fundraising in our school, and that's important. But an equally important aspect of our mission at Manorhaven is to foster a sense of community and morale within our school. So we've been thinking a lot about ideas for virtual community building events, things that aren't necessarily designed to make a ton of money or support programming, but really just to give families a sense that we're part of something bigger together. So we've had some ideas, but we really wanted to open it up to this group to see if anybody has any thoughts or suggestions. Has anybody participated in anything amazing over the summer or last spring that you think would be replicable or interesting for families to do at Manorhaven? Just a quick open forum if anybody has any ideas. Feel free to unmute yourself or put it in the chat, and if you want to speak, you can always message me privately. Jessica. Jessica Linden, do you want to share? I can unmute you.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I have my 3-year-old in my lap. Nice to meet you all. My husband's office did a trivia thing, which was very fun for community team building in the office. And we did a sing-along, a campfire sing-along with a musician that I hired to celebrate a birthday. So just two thoughts or suggestions.
Cool. Thank you. Any other ideas, or is everybody anxious to get into the Q&A? Okay, well, if anybody has any ideas, feel free to message us in the chat. Feel free to email manorhavenschoolpta@gmail.com. Karen and I check that account and would love to brainstorm and make it a group effort to ensure that we have some programs this year that everybody is excited about, not just those of us who think about it every day. So without further ado, I think let's get into the Q&A with Dr. Cohen. We received, and Nurse Ponce, who's also on the call, so thank you for joining us. We received a bunch of questions ahead of the meeting, so we're going to take those first. And when we get through those, we'll open it up to live discussion, live questions.
Well, I'm not sure that Nurse Ponce is on yet. I know that she had some business to take care of.
Oh, I thought I saw, oh no, she's here.
Great, okay,
She's here.
thank you.
Yep. Okay, so I guess we'll start off with the first question that came in. Dr. Cohen, to what extent are subjects that were missed or only lightly covered in the spring being made up or covered again this year to ensure that students haven't fallen behind?
So what we did over the spring was we had continuous instruction. And now what we have to do as good teachers and, you know, as an administrator is assess the children, see where they are and see where we have to start. So one thing with our math program is we always start, every year we start with the previous year because there are some topics that need to be covered before we move into the yearly program. And just like we do every year, teachers will be doing their formal and informal assessments to see how to fill the gaps, if any, in the different subject areas.
Thank you. And you know, just to because this is another question that comes up later in the list. How are students, how is student learning being assessed this year, both for in-person and fully virtual students, since you mentioned assessment?
So I have a meeting following this meeting on determining when we're going to be using the NWEA. We have the opportunity to do the fall assessment. We might wait until the winter. That decision hasn't been made yet. And then we'll have an opportunity to see growth. While we usually look at growth for the full year, we don't have a spring assessment. So we'll look at fall to fall to see how the students have progressed. And that will also give us some indications on any gaps that need to be filled. Again, this is a topic that's going to be revisited today, and we will come up with a way to assess all children using our NWA platform. Otherwise, assessments are built into some of the programs that we use. There's assessments in many of our virtual programs, and teachers will continue to do the same thing that they have done in the past.
Thank you. The next question, at a building level or at a district level, what types of programs or opportunities are being made available for parents who are working full-time or part-time at home and also have their students at home doing remote learning? Are there any support programs that the building is providing to those parents?
Well, we're going to be all in, and hopefully we can stay that way for a long time. I honestly don't have an answer as to if, unfortunately, we have to go to a remote program. I know that there are programs through, you know, for our first responders, for our medical professionals that will provide childcare, but I don't have any information other than that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Questions come up about students who cannot attend school in person for whatever reason. Is there any new thinking about allowing those students to log into the remote learning, to the virtual learning platform, and still be counted as attending school that day? And if not, is there anything parents can do to work with the district to reshape that policy?
So up until now, if you have a COVID-related illness, whether you are waiting for a test result, whether you are self-isolating, whether you're quarantining because you have to, those families would be allowed to join us. With upcoming changes to the fully virtual plan within 24 hours, we'll hear more about that. I would have to get an updated view on how we're going to approach that, but we will be providing instruction to anybody who has a COVID-related absence.
I would follow up on that though, Dr. Cohen, in terms of not, let's say someone is being held home out of pure, you know, to make sure, you know, they just have a common cold or they're being extra cautious. Those students are still not able to log on.
So it's interesting because if you have symptoms of the common cold, those are also symptoms of COVID. So it could be considered a COVID related,
Okay.
we're waiting for medical clearance. So I would say yes, until a doctor's note would allow the child to come back to school.
Great. We've seen, hopefully everyone has seen how their children have been outside of the classroom and not just at their desks all day. But if you could just give a little more insight into what the kids are doing. I know it varies classroom by classroom, but why and how we're keeping the kids not at their desks, all day from 8:30 to 2 o'clock. If you could just give a little insight into what those kids and what those programs are available for kids daily.
Sure. And I think it's just, for me, it's heartwarming to walk outside the school building and to see a kindergarten class under a canopy singing and participating in music, while in the background we have a second grade class doing physical education, and they're outside on the field. Then when I walk around the corner, I see a fourth grade under another canopy having their library lesson. That was just my experience yesterday, and I try to capture as much as I can on Instagram to share it with parents because it really is incredible. And then we might see another group of students outside sitting around the math stencils. Thank you, Mrs. Zweibel. Having their snack and then taking turns using those math stencils for an informal instruction, but also our math resource teacher provided some additional lesson plans to our classroom teachers on how to use those math stencils when they're outside with their class, whether they're practicing skip counting and adding, subtracting, and getting ready for multiplication. So that's an excellent addition to our school. So all teachers have the opportunity to take their children out to the various spaces. We had an outdoor space committee that designated which spaces in the building were for recess, the 4 recess areas that rotate, which were for physical education, where the canopies were going to go, and we have an outdoor classroom where teachers can bring their children just because they need a break from being inside, and we know that the safest place is to be outdoors as much as possible. So we have dedicated space for instruction, we have dedicated space for mask breaks, and also for our special areas.
And we have 3 tents too, right? Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
So we also have 3 outdoor classroom tents, which have been put up. Some parents may not have seen them because one is hidden in the back of the building, and then 2 others are hidden sort of by the pods, but we do have 3 outdoor learning classroom spaces.
We do.
Okay. Thanks. The next set of questions, and I'm just going to bundle them together because this is a topic that has come up a lot in the questions that we received, are around arrival and dismissal procedures, particularly dismissal. On the hybrid program, arrival and dismissal have been going extremely smoothly, but we are anticipating some changes to that and some challenges as we return all in next week. So the first question around this is, what time is dismissal now, or what time does the school day end with the new bus schedules? Some children, received new bus assignments and are scheduled to be dropped off by their buses before the time they would have even been dismissed from school in the past. So what's the new schedule, and what is being done to ensure adequate class time, and particularly for those children whose specials are the last period of the day?
So there are no specials the last period of the day. Specials have always ended because we have a different kind of schedule. Specials are with a class for 2 weeks. We need 4 dedicated times for specials so that there's a planning time for a special area, teacher, a collaboration time, and at the end of the day, they're there to help us with dismissal. So nobody's specials will be cut short, but the district, in order to comply with all the buses that needed to be routed for all the children and make sure that everybody is in a safe and healthy environment, our dismissal will start at 2:10, where it was starting at 2:20. Our first bus is coming in somewhere around 2:10, and dismissal should end somewhere around 2:45, maybe 2:50. Some of the buses will have a double run. So we have 6 buses that will make a second loop. And then we have an additional 9 buses that will do a single run. So some of the children will be getting home earlier, and some of the children will be getting home later. So when we call buses, it'll be early 24 and late 24, early 26, late 26. Our kindergarten walkers will still be called at 2:10, and our grades 1 through 5 walkers will be called at 2:20. First grade teachers asked me to call first grade separately first, so that they are not in the hallway with the other children, that they can get to their 3 dismissal spots, and we'll have a few minutes in between. But basically that's the time. So yes, the buses are starting much earlier, not just at Manorhaven School. We have an identical schedule with Guggenheim. Daily starts much earlier, and the later buses are going to be for Salem and Sousa, and they will also be ending the day earlier than they had in the past. With regard to having a little bit less congestion, this year we started accepting students at 8 o'clock. So I'm moving that to 7:50, just like we had in the past. I'm going to keep the same 8, 8:10, and 8:20 that we announced at the beginning of the year, but add an additional 7:50 and open it up to any parents that need to get to work and need to have their children here earlier. So that should help alleviate some of the backup with the car line in the morning. I spoke with Detective Tony. He was trying to help us in getting parking lifted on Sands Point Road. We were not successful with that, but he's going to be here with us to help our security agent, Russ, on Tuesday, really to assess the situation and see if we can come up with any other plan other than parking for parents. They were concerned about emergency vehicles. If we opened up parking, they were concerned with parents getting off on the side where there was incoming traffic. We could not get the town to allow us to do that. But we do understand that parking is problematic. We probably have more buses than we need, but we have to keep the bus spots open for any parents that want to opt back into their bus service, because you're entitled to it. Now, it's one child at a seat, windows are open, siblings can sit together, but that's how we have been operating our buses, and that's how we will continue to operate the buses. So I hope that helps. I'll put it in writing. That'll be a letter this weekend out to parents, just to let you know how we're going to be opening up school with all in on Tuesday.
Thank you. And just a quick follow-up on that. Some parents have asked about a car line at pickup time, at dismissal time, noting that other elementary schools in the district have a car line similar to the arrival process that they do at pickup as well. Is that something that's under consideration? And what are the particular dynamics at our school that affect that decision?
So, for safety reasons and for a number of reasons, which it was discontinued because of a compact committee decision. So it will be revisited as a compact committee topic for discussion, but it's something that I would also like to discuss with Detective Tony when he comes here on Tuesday to help work us through the day.
Thanks.
Because of the number of buses and because of the configuration of our parking lot, I'm just not sure that we would be able to do this. I'm not sure, but I'm open to suggestions.
Thank you.
So based on the requirements and the notifications from contact tracing, talking about this a little bit now, and this was a discussion at the board meeting this week. All the kids should be, I believe all the kids are now in one classroom across the board. They have been now this entire week. Are the kids considered close contacts now? Are the desks still the recommended CDC 6 feet apart? I'll pause there and then I will ask the second half of the question.
So the desks are close to, but not all 6 feet apart. Somewhere between 5 and 6 feet apart. Children are masked and have desk shields in all but 2 of the classes, which I know that's something else that I'll address in a few minutes.
Okay.
Nurse Ponce, would you like to answer that question?
I think that
So she's on. Nurse Ponce mentioned that she doesn't have microphone access right now, so she's going to respond to questions in the chat.
I'll follow up that part of the question, Dr. Cohen. Then, given
I'm just saying I have not myself called the Department of Health for any reason. So for every situation, we would have to give the exact details, and then they would give us the information back.
Okay. So that answers the second part of the question, essentially. Will classes be quarantined for 2 weeks if there's a positive case in the room? It will then be determined by the Department of Health, I would assume, based on that exact classroom.
Correct. Everything we report, they ask lots and lots of questions, and then the determination is made.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And if Nurse Ponce, Nurse Ponce says, yes, it will be determined by the Nassau County Department of Health. So that's not a hard and fast rule that we can weigh in on now, but DOH. Sort of tagging on to that question about classroom configurations, the question has come up about the 2 classrooms with the triangular desks. How come the desk shields for the triangular desks were not ordered with the initial order, and what is their delivery and installation status? And can you also speak to, in the meantime, what's the situation in those classes? So who is teaching the classes while they remain split, or are they in a larger space? There's a question about the multi-purpose room. Will they continue to use that as one of their classrooms, even though it also serves as a dismissal room where children congregate?
So on Monday, when the children are out of school, we're going to put the desk shields that we have on those desks temporarily. They're safe. It's just that they're small. The workspace is small. The opportunity for a triangle, if you had a triangular shaped desk shield, would open up a much wider range of space for the children to do their work. So in order to get the children into their classrooms together, we're going to use the desks. They'll be safe, but we don't want that permanently. So in the summer, we ordered a number of square desks before we even thought we were having desk shields. And our smaller classrooms were going to be using the cafetorium and the gym. I mean, this is a way back when plan, that when lunch was going to be, when we were going to have lunch in the classrooms, the cafetorium and the gym were going to be used for our support staff. Then we changed, and all of the children were able to eat in their rooms, which meant I needed to have single desks for our smaller classrooms. I ordered 50 desks. Those were coming later. When the desk shields came in and we found out that they didn't fit properly the way we wanted to, we had the triangular desk shields custom made. So my plan was to use whatever came in first. If the 50 desks came in first, they would go into Mrs. Nell and Mr. Lennon's class to get the children in as soon as possible. If the desk shields, the triangular desk shields came in first, they would go in. It seems that they're both about 2 weeks away. Ultimately, those classes would have triangular shields and triangular desks. But we were going to do whatever we could to get them in first. So now the best thing we can do is on Tuesday, they'll have triangular desks with the shields that have a small workspace. And as soon as something better comes in, which will be the triangular desk shields, we'll change them up. That's not a hard thing to do. So in the meantime, they're alternating so that they can all have the opportunity to be all together. One class is using the all-purpose room, while the other is split between Nell and Lennon. On the next day, the other class goes to the all-purpose room, and the other class is split between Nell and Lennon. And coverage is one of our permanent subs. So if Mrs. Nell is splitting her class, she's working with one of our permanent subs, and they're just going back and forth between the two classes that are next door to each other. So it's, you know, it's not a perfect situation, but it's certainly a workable situation. It's just a matter of, we have to be patient till our orders come in. Everything was ordered, you know, about, you know, weeks ago or more.
Great. Moving to the fully virtual platform, I know you made mention earlier that in the next 24 hours, we will likely hear some more information. Is there anything that you can share with the families on today of, you know, what information is being made available? Is it going to be just live stream? Anything that you feel comfortable sharing at this point?
I think at this point, the best thing I can say is that your voices have been heard. And we have a plan that I feel that everybody will be extremely satisfied with.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Another question about an issue that has come up frequently in previous meetings and also in various Board of Ed discussions. Will there be any PEP this year or Math Olympiad? And if so, how will it be made accessible to fully virtual students? And anything you can share on progress that has been made for on a plan for a PEP core group versus PEP esteem push-in for all students?
I have not, I've only been part of conversations which say that we are looking into ways to make it work, but I don't have any information to share. Math Olympiads could perhaps come back as a club, and that's being, we are meeting to discuss clubs as well. So I'm hoping that we can work something out, and you know, it's a district level conversation and decision.
Thank
But
you.
in the meantime, you know, we have Mrs. Singh is working with all of our kindergarten through 5th graders in a 2-week rotation, and it's just nice to see that our entire school is getting enrichment through Mrs. Singh's classroom.
Great. I will preface this. This is the last question we have that has been asked prior to this. I think I just sent a note in the chat. If anyone else has any other questions, please feel free to drop it into the chat or to unmute yourself and ask. The last question is around recess. There's been a lot of discussion and conversation around what kids are doing at recess, how they're rotating. Some kids have potentially complained that there is not much to do. I can tell you that my back feels otherwise based on the painting of the math stencils and other things. But are there anything you want to share around what the teachers and the paras have been helping the kids do during recess, along with Mrs. Regan?
I know that Mrs. Regan is working with paraprofessionals to help give them ideas, compile lists, and you know, when I went outside, the group that was on the blacktop, they were playing red light, green light, having a great time. Kids find ways to have fun, and that seems to be, I mean, we have 2 playground areas, 1 small field area, and the blacktop. When I go out on the blacktop, I see the kids playing games, having fun, and enjoying themselves. But that's something that it's continuous, and it has started. Just you know, working with the paraprofessionals and sharing ideas.
Great.
Thank you. So this question has actually come in from several people. Is there, so we know that masks are required on school grounds. Does that extend to after dismissal time? And is there any way to either mandate or very strongly encourage families that play on the playground equipment after dismissal time to keep their masks on while they're on school grounds?
I agree that masks should be kept on at all times on school grounds. And I can, I know that you said strongly encourage. So I would see whether at a district level, I could strongly encourage or say it has to be. I want to say it in the right way, but I do think we should be masked at all times. So it can, I will follow up. I will follow up with the district and include some language about that in my letter.
Bonnie, is there a way to make a mandate that masks have to be worn on school grounds during weekdays? Because I know when I've gone back for soccer practice after school, and the soccer practice is making the children participate, wear masks, and the parents wear masks, but there are tons of children on the playground at that hour at around 4 o'clock that are unmasked, which creates an unsafe environment for the parents who want their children masked on the soccer field and may want to let them have 5 minutes to go on the monkey bars, but I won't let Molly go on the monkey bars because there's unmasked children there who I don't know.
Right.
So could there be some kind of district policy on that?
I have to find out what I'm allowed to say, and I will take care of that after this meeting.
Thank you.
Dr. Cohen, one other question that just came in. It's a follow-up in regards to Mr. Lennon and Ms. Nell's class. Can you just address whether or not there is any other space within the building that can provide these students until the desks or the shields an opportunity to be taught by their teacher all in one room, whether that be the APR or another space within the building? I know spaces are limited, but the question continues to be asked.
No, so we are going to be all together on Tuesday using not the smaller shields, but the shields that are safe, but just a smaller workspace. So they're being put in on Monday until the triangles come in.
Okay, so they will all be together as of Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
Great.
Thank you. Question about the fully virtual platform. Can the fully virtual learners meet their teachers in person? The teachers have said they're awaiting direction from the upper level administration. Any news on that?
Well, you know what? I think that will be something that we will follow up with after more information about the plan goes out to families and to staff. So it's a question that we have to put on hold for a day or two.
Okay. We have another question about virtual learning and also another question about masks. So we'll start with the virtual learning. Dr. Pernick at Schreiber has just started offering a virtual coffee chat for parents of virtual learners and a weekly check-in for virtual learners. It's 10 students for half an hour to check in on how everything is going, both academically, socially, emotionally. Is that something we could consider offering at Manorhaven?
Absolutely.
Great. Great. Question about masks. And this is something that has come up in the past. I know it's come up. Dr. Hines has addressed it at board meetings, and there hasn't really been a very clear answer. But parents have observed that some children and teachers are wearing masks with vents or gaiters, single layer gaiters. How does the school handle this? Is there a criteria for what qualifies as a suitable mask? And what happens when somebody is not wearing a suitable mask?
So I've been asking, I think I put it in my little video that I sent out before open house. I've been just asking parents not to send gaiters or masks with vents because we're hearing that the other masks are safer. So it's really just, an ask if we want to be as safe as we possibly can. So, and staff should not be wearing gaiters or masks with vents. If I see them, I will address it and put it in writing. But I would ask all parents to just send in the safest mask for you and for the safest mask for the neighbor of your student is to be a mask that's not a gaiter and not a vent.
And has the same information been communicated to the teachers and staff as well?
Yes.
Okay. Another question about masks. Can you confirm that children are allowed to remove their masks briefly in class at their desks to drink water? We have conflicting reports of some students being allowed to do that and others who are not allowed. What is the rule on that in classrooms, water breaks?
So it hasn't come up. Children can have snacks in class unmasked. We say please stagger so that nobody is unmasked at the same time. And we also ask that mask breaks, if possible, be done outside in inclement weather and snack be done outside. But what I put out was please stagger. So then a water break would be allowed if one child was taking a water break and the child next to them was masked.
A question actually follow up to that is regarding the refilling of student water bottles. Are those available options? I know the water fountains are closed, but there's been some questions raised around some kids are saying once they finish their water bottle, they haven't been able to refill them.
They can use the hydration stations.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah, no, I'm just monitoring the chat. Does anybody else have a question? You can put it in the chat. You can also unmute yourself and feel free to chime in. We've got about 5 minutes left. Last call. Okay.
Well,
well,
sorry, we just have one more. I apologize. Just came just under the radar. Never mind, actually, it's not a question. Got it.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Dr. Cohen, for your time and for your candor. I think, again, we're all in this together and we're all sort of pulling on the same rope, and things, we'll just keep everybody up to date as best we can here. So before we adjourn, just a few quick reminders. First, please do, if you haven't already, update or activate your membership toolkit directory account. And if you do review it and notice that any changes are necessary, please just shoot a quick email to me and Karen at manorhavenschoolpta@gmail.com, and we'll make sure those changes are relayed to the building administration. The two systems, if you don't know, are completely separate, the PTA's directory and the Aspen directory that the district uses. So we do our best to reconcile them and make sure that everybody is getting all of the information they need from all of the necessary sources. Again, plant sale deadline today. Get those orders in for your mums. They are always a beautiful festive thing to have for the holidays.
And pumpkins this year.
And pumpkins, yeah, pumpkins too. We got everything. The first Spirit Day again, Tuesday, the 29th, we'll be celebrating our first day all back together. It goes without saying, all events and activities, including these meetings, will continue to be virtual until further notice. This meeting, the recording of this meeting will be posted on our YouTube channel, so that if you know anyone who wasn't able to attend but wants to listen in, the questions are answered and the record will be available. We have a couple of upcoming meetings. Our first meeting of Manorhaven's Diversity and Inclusion Committee will be on November 4th. And our next PTA meeting, which is an evening meeting, a virtual meeting, of course, will be November 12th. And a final reminder, which we had actually planned to say before any of those questions came up, but please always remember to wear your masks and social distance on school grounds, and also on the walk home. If you have children who are walkers, or if you're walking with your kids, if you're with people who are outside your pod, please just remember to keep those masks up for the health of our whole community. And of course, please remind your kids and caregivers to do the same, including if they stop on the playground to play after dismissal. As we heard from Dr. Cohen, we'll hope to get some clearer, firmer language on that from the district at some point soon. So with that, thank you to everybody who joined today. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the beautiful weather that's coming, and we'll see you soon. Stay in touch. Any questions, you always know where to find us.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Cohen. Thanks, Nurse Consul.
Thank you.